So I wanted to film like a really amazing video today, and then I realized that I just didn't have an idea that I was really keen on doing. And so I thought, well, why don't I make a video about literally the unknown? Why don't I sit here and talk to whoever's watching about things that come to me, rather than making a plan all the time, rather than figuring everything out? Why don't I just jump into the unknown and see what happens, right? I feel like I kind of touched on this in my last video. One thing in life is that we really, as humans, we really want to control everything, right? We want to have a plan all the time, and we want that plan to go exactly the way we had it pictured up here, right? And that's amazing when it does. It can be so gut-wrenching and heartbreaking when it doesn't, especially when you put so much energy and, and love into whatever that plan or idea or those things that you expected were going to happen, right? The way you thought it was all gonna work out, when it doesn't. When some things go awry, when some delays happen and we're so tied to it, it's like we failed. Feels like the biggest failure, and then we go into those moments and we have those awful days where we're like, oh my God, all of this was for nothing. I've wasted my time. I'm a failure. I've made so many mistakes. What am I doing wrong? And then we just start hating on ourselves, and it's just such a terrible cycle. And I know that I'm not the only person out there who's experienced this before. And God, I am so over it. I'm so over beating myself up when things don't go the way I plan them to. From the number of things I've experienced, I've realized that everything does happen for a reason. And if we don't know what that reason is straight away, and sometimes we're not meant to know, but our brain tries to figure it all out, that can drive you crazy. Sleepless nights, anxiety-ridden days, just trying to figure out why things have happened the way they've happened and how you might have contributed to whatever that failure might have been, right? Whatever you perceived was the failure. Had to realize is that, everything does happen for a reason. Sometimes things aren't meant to go the way that we planned them to because there is something better. And sometimes that something better might feel like the worst thing ever. It might feel like the exact opposite of what you desired, of what you wanted, of what you really, really thought was going to happen. And I'm not trying to invalidate you. That's real. Those feelings are real. Honor them. Validate them. But that cycle where it happens again and again and again, every time you attach to an outcome or the idea of an outcome, and then it doesn't always happen the way you expected it to, and then you're left to crippling self-doubt and anger and resentment and regret and just feeling completely down about yourself and what you're unable to achieve for whatever the reason was. How does that do you any good? How does that help you? It's just you getting stuck and staying there and then beating yourself up and then trying again but doing the exact same thing, because that cycle continues. Go around and around and around and around, just stuck in a cycle. In fact, you're actually a winner because you repeated the exact same thing. You got to the end of that cycle and you did it again. Actually, you're not a failure. You're just on loop. You're just repeating over and over again. The trick here is to, again, figure out what that cycle is, where it started, and figure out the things that you're doing now that are keeping you trapped in that cycle. Life is not meant to be all planned out. There are events that will happen in our life that just happen, that we have no control over. Now, we might think that these are always going to be negative things, and if you always think it's going to be negative things, that's a cycle. You're stuck in a negative cycle where your past keeps creating your future. Not about just being present. It's about really honoring yourself where you are, how grateful you feel, all of the things that you feel, and understanding what it means to truly be in that moment, in the now. And again, that still might not make sense, that still might not resonate, but it's to understand that everything that has ever happened has happened in the present moment. The past and the future, in our mind, it's a linear sort of thing. And it is. What we're experiencing is a linear timeline. But think about every memory. Think about every potential. It only ever happens in the present moment. And that's why it is so important to really appreciate and dig deep into understanding what your present moment is, what is going on within you right now that is creating the future. If your present moment is still existing in the past and you're still going over old feelings, old memories, old triggers, old experiences, that is what is creating your future, because everything is created from the now. But if you do the healing in the present moment, that clears anything that was attached to the past, you create truly from the now. And what you can create is endless, it's infinite, it's fully up to your imagination, up to your desires. So that cycle will not be from the past and you relive the past over and over again in the now. You'll be creating a brand new cycle for yourself, for whatever you want it to be, in the now. If you're living in happiness, in joy, in love and abundance and appreciation for yourself and all that is around you, that is in the now, that is going to continue to be reflected in your future. But if you are constantly thinking and feeling, going over how you failed and how you've never gotten what you wanted in the now based on past experiences, that is what you're going to continue to create. And that is the fucking truth. It's not easy. It's not just stop doing it, just stop living in the past. No, it takes healing, it takes time, it takes understanding, it takes you being open and being willing and ready to create a life that is truly yours now, not a life that was. Yeah, because you can't change what's happened. You can't go back, except for in your mind. But you can change what's coming. And to do that is not to control it. To do that is to be open and to see what's possible, to see the infinite amount of yourself, to see everything and anything that's possible, because everything and anything is possible. We are so conditioned to believe that life is so restrictive and there's only certain ways to get things, only certain ways to do things. That's absolutely bullshit. If you believe that, then that will happen. But if you believe that you are infinite and that you are abundant and that you are free to live and do and receive and enjoy whatever it is that you want to enjoy, then you will. Everything is about belief. Everything is about perception. That's why it's so important to see what you are believing right now, subconsciously and consciously in the present moment, because that is creating your future. And that's when the cycle of negativity, the cycle of endless failures continues to happen. If you view everything as a failure, then that's all it'll be. But if you view everything as a way to learn and to grow, then that's what it will be. And from growth comes expansion and evolution and beautiful transformations. It's up to you. It's up to you where you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to go, and where you want to expand. If you are happy in your cycle, then stay in your cycle. If you are happy with the way things are, then that's amazing, because I'm sure amazing things will continue to come. But if you are unhappy, if you are sad, if you are angry, if you have a lot of low and negative emotions trapped within you, that needs to be released. And it's not your fault in the sense that you're doing something wrong, because no, how could you be doing something wrong? This is your experience. The things that are right and wrong are again subjective, are again perception, are again based on belief, personal belief. You feeling all those things, there is nothing wrong with that. That is human. But if you want to feel more than just that, that's okay too. If you want to experience joy on a daily basis, if you want to experience pure love, bliss, abundance on a daily basis, you can have that. That is possible. To experience one thing is to experience the opposite. Everyone always says balance is everything, and it truly is. To experience such beautiful light, you have to experience darkness. One cannot exist without the other. So to experience this beautiful unconditional love that I'm sure you're craving, you have to experience the opposite, which I'm sure you have. Because as humans, we are such complex creatures. There's a spectrum of emotions, there's a spectrum of existence. To have one, you must have had the other. To experience one, you must experience the other. To experience being rich, you must have experienced being poor. To experience love, you must experience hate and fear. One cannot exist without the other. So if you have experienced a lot of negative emotions, if that has been your life for a very long time, that's a good thing, because now you can experience everything on the opposite end of the spectrum with regards to everything that you've already felt. The only rules and restrictions that exist are the ones you place upon yourself and your world. You are so much more than that. We truly are infinite beings. But that's how I exist. Knowing that every cycle I create is a cycle that I can end to create a new one. And I've lived cycles of survival and pain and fear and constantly feeling like things will be taken away from me. Which means now is the time for me to experience the opposite, where things are constantly given to me. And that's what I'm ready to do. Because I've had to go back and I've had to heal. I've had to understand and see why I was living that, why I was experiencing that, why that was all I felt for the longest time. And now that I have understood it, now that I have healed it, I know that's not all that there is. I've experienced one, and now I get to experience the other. Because I choose to. Because I choose to wake up every day knowing that things are working out for me, that I am growing, that I am evolving, that I am allowed to feel happy, that I'm allowed to feel love, that I'm allowed to feel safety and joy and abundance, just as you are. It is truly based on what you've been conditioned to believe, what you've seen, what you've understood, what you've taken in, many things that aren't yours. I hope now moving forward you can start to be open and start to see what else there is that you have to yet to experience. And I'm excited for you, and I want you to be excited too, because this isn't all there is. There's so much more. And there will always be more, because we are constantly expanding beings. We don't just end, we transform. So what is it that you want to transform it into? What cycles do you want to change? What cycles do you want to end so that you can begin a new one? Choose it. Simply choose it. And release what needs to be released. Stop resisting it. Resistance is what's stopping you. And resistance is that part of you that could be scared, could be angry. But usually it's fear. Fear creates more fear. Love creates more love.